This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Fragrance-free. A Dartmouth woman with breathing issues wants Nova Scotia Health to crack down on scents.
High demand. The Dartmouth Community Fridge is spending thousands a month on food for people in need.
And tourism boom. How the addition of 3 golf courses has transformed the town of Inverness.
Well, we'll see some increasing clouds throughout the day on Friday as our next system moves in from the southeast. Your full forecast details are coming up.
Good evening. A Dartmouth woman wants to see Nova Scotia Health step up enforcement on the wearing of scents and fragrances in its facilities.
Mary Crosby says she's encountered it a number of times in the past few months while being treated for a rare heart disease. As Gareth Hampshire explains, she's speaking out after she says the fragrances led to reactions that left her gasping for breath.
Mary Crosby wants to see more action around fragrances in healthcare settings after she says being exposed to them caused several asthma attacks. She's been writing to officials telling them how scented products can trigger serious reactions.
It cuts me off. I can't get a breath in. It feels like my lungs all of a sudden just can't go in or out.
Those happened leading up to surgery for a heart condition, and then after when recovering at the Halifax Infirmary, where signs were placed on her door.
There's so many hospital staff that feel comfortable wearing cologne or strongly scented other products that I'm not sure they even realize how this can affect their patients.
She has COPD too and says she often has to walk past smokers close to hospital entrances, which also affects her lungs. Documents from the time she worked at the Dartmouth General several years ago made it clear scents should not be worn, but she doesn't think there's enough attention today. Christine Berube saw her social media post. Exposure to fragrances can cause her to have migraines and shortness of breath. She went for an MRI at a private clinic where she says there was strong scents coming from one of the staff.
And I'm thinking, if I start coughing, a coughing fit, and it's tiny, like, I don't know if they can get me out of here fast enough.
She got through that without a reaction, but the issue is one Asthma Canada hears about often.
It's really shocking to me and to us, to our organization and my colleagues, that we're still having these conversations in 2025.
He says it highlights the need for more education about scent-free policies.
Those policies are there because they present, certain scents can present serious health challenges for people who are living with lung conditions like asthma or COPD.
Nova Scotia Health provided a statement to CBC saying it has an established scent awareness policy with signage in its facilities and is committed to providing a healthy and safe workplace and strives to eliminate the use of scents and fragrances to prevent adverse reactions. The health authority shares concerns about smoking near entrances and is repeating that is not allowed. It suggests people contact patient relations if they're not satisfied with their level of care, which Mary Crosby has done and now requests a scent-free room for follow-up treatment. Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Dartmouth.
CBC News has confirmed the Nova Scotia government will bid on the assets of Northern Pulp, including hundreds of thousands of acres of timberlands. Today was the deadline for potential bidders to declare their intentions. Government officials confirmed the plan but provided no other details. The Northern Pulp Mill in Pictou County ceased operations in January 2020 after the company failed to get environmental approval for a new effluent treatment facility. In August, a British Columbia Supreme Court justice approved an initial bid of $104 million by an Ontario-based company called Macer Forest Holdings, Inc. for the company assets. With the provincial government making it at least 2 parties in the process, Macer's bid will be the starting point for an auction to be held on November 27th. The successful bidder will be finalized the following day and then have until December 9th to reach an agreement.
Nova Scotia has reached agreements with the federal government and other provinces and territories to drop barriers on interprovincial trade. The agreement will take effect next month. It applies to thousands of products, including clothes, toys, vehicles, health technology, and industrial products. But it excludes food and beverages, including alcohol and other products and services that are separately regulated. The deal could still be expanded in the future.
A volunteer group in Dartmouth is spending thousands of dollars a month keeping up with demand for free food from its community fridge. Andrew Lamb has that story.
A few times a day, this outdoor fridge in Dartmouth is restocked with staples like milk and eggs people can take for free. As more people need help paying for food, the group behind this initiative says they're spending thousands to try to keep up. The Dartmouth Community Fridge is volunteer-run.
A grocery shop is $100, and as we know, $100 doesn't go very far at the grocery store anymore. So when that food is dropped off, it'll be gone within the hour, for sure.
Nodigar says the group now spends nearly $6,000 a month buying food for the fridge. That's on top of what people in the community drop off. Nodigar says it's a big number for the group.
People are really struggling, and affordability just continues to be a major issue for a lot of people.
From April 2024 to March 2025, more than $60,000 of food was purchased for the Dartmouth Community Fridge. That money came primarily from fundraising. Nodigar says it takes funds and a strong community to put the amount of food the group gets into the fridge on a regular basis.
And that's what this has been. It's been about the community. It's been about people stepping up to support their neighbors.
It's a similar story over at a pair of community pantries in another part of the city, which mostly provide non-perishable food items. Demand has picked up, particularly within the last year.
We're seeing more items not staying, things are moving faster, which is, they moved fast to begin with, but even more so.
A recent report from Food Banks Canada found there were more than 43,000 visits to Nova Scotia food banks in March. That's up more than 10% from last year. Nearly a quarter of those visits were from people who reported employment as their main source of income.
Meeting a lot of folks here who say, I used to donate, but now I'm coming, I need to take something.
According to recent numbers from Stats Can, nearly 3 in 10 Nova Scotians lived in households reporting food insecurity in 2023. Andrew Lamb, CBC News, Halifax.
Let's take a quick break now and bring in Ryan Snoddon from the Weather Centre.
Yes, and it sounds like a weather system is coming our way.
Yeah, that's right. And really not anything to write home about, but a couple of drops from this one, especially in through Cape Breton and eastern parts of the mainland. Thanks so much, Tom and Amy, as we look at the forecast for Friday. Lots of sunshine in the west. In fact, lots of sunshine to start the day, but the clouds building in across the east and into Cape Breton, even into the metro area as well. We'll see that cloud cover building in the west. We'll likely see some clouds in the mix into the afternoon, but the bulk of the cloud and the shower activity is going to be, for the most part, moving offshore, but the stuff that we will see will be clipping Cape Breton and eastern parts of the mainland. And it seems like with every model run, this is throwing less and less moisture into our mix for tomorrow. So a few showers, but that is about it. Similar story with this front coming in on Saturday, Friday night into Saturday. Really not a whole lot in terms of moisture from this. Most of it will be tracking to our south, but Saturday certainly looking like a cloudy day with a couple of showers. Eastern shore into Cape Breton could be clipped with a little bit of some steadier wet weather in through Saturday night. We're clearing the skies into Sunday. Bit cool, but we'll take it. Your full 7-day is coming up.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, as the oyster industry in the Maritimes grapples with 2 diseases impacting the species populations, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency says it is reviewing a request from a PEI company to import oyster seed from the United States. Atlantic Aqua Farms wants to bring in disease-resistant oyster seed from south of the border. In a statement to CBC, CFIA says, "We know the pressure the industry is under with MSX and Dermo, and we are working closely with the applicant and with producers." It says before any new seed can be introduced, the agency needs to be certain it won't bring in new diseases or make the current situation worse. The agency says if the import is approved, the company will be notified directly, and a permit will outline any conditions.
The federal budget passed by a narrow vote earlier this week, and with it passed new support for the critical minerals industry in Canada. One Nova Scotia prospector welcomes Ottawa's support. He says in a time of international tensions, this industry is more important than ever.
I think it's very, very positive for the industry to help us develop new mines, particularly in the sector of critical minerals. It is something that is important to our independence as a country, to have our own source of these vital elements that we can build out our new economy on.
There are over 20 critical mineral projects in the province, all in different stages of development. Whiteman hopes to use the federal government's expanded tax credit, which now includes an additional 12 minerals.
There is some optimism that the proposed federal bail regime changes could deter copper wire thefts. Bail Canada says there have been almost 70 incidents affecting their infrastructure in Nova Scotia so far this year. That's double the number of occurrences last year. They say security cameras and alarms are helping, but more deterrence is needed through bail reform.
Such a pervasive and such an impactful issue that it needs to stop. And we're hoping that all of our tactics and all the efforts made by the Canadian government and other governments will actually start to take place and stop this behavior.
The proposed changes are designed to make bail more difficult to get, especially for repeat offenders.
Last week, the province quashed plans for a proposed Cabot golf course development in Mabou after residents rallied against it. But in nearby Inverness, the Cabot company already runs 3 successful golf courses. The CBC's Anna Rack spoke to people who live and work in that town about how the courses there have transformed Inverness over the years.
With its picturesque coastline and cliffside views, Inverness Beach is a big draw for visitors in the summer. But with the golf course right next door, more people are coming to golf than swim. Business owners in Inverness have been seeing an increase in customers since the arrival of the Cabot company. They own 3 golf courses here, and while the summers are quite busy, the winters are still quite slow.
I think the job market here locally has never been so large. I don't think there's been a business on Main Street that hasn't been searching for employees. There's been lots of opportunities if you want, not only with already businesses that are established, but to also start your own.
According to Cabot, the 3 golf courses created 800 jobs in the Inverness area this year. The influx of visitors in the summer months also means local businesses need to hire more people to keep up with the demand.
I know Cabot creates jobs, but because there's more people in the summer, you have to hire more people at our restaurants and other places. So there are pros to it, bringing more people, but there are unfortunately cons too that come with it.
One of those cons? Traffic. While Fraser says it's great to see business booming in the peak season, some in the community say they preferred Inverness before it was a resort town.
I've lived in Inverness my whole life, and I really like my small community. Cabot tends to bring in quite a variety of visitors throughout the summer months, and even just traffic is one of the things. The traffic and trying to get from one end of town to the other is a lot more difficult in the summer when Cabot is open as opposed to once they close.
Others in the community say the reason Inverness can thrive as a resort town is because it has the infrastructure for it, like a hospital and a downtown core with several eateries and other businesses, unlike smaller nearby towns like Mabou. Just last week, Premier Tim Houston quashed a proposed Cabot golf course development for West Mabou Beach Provincial Park, after residents have been rallying against it. Anna Rack, CBC News, Inverness.
The team behind the African Nova Scotian Road to Prosperity plan is asking the City of Halifax to keep supporting their work. Over the past 5 years, that work has included new community plans for Beachville, Lucasville, and Upper Hammonds Plains. African Nova Scotian communities saw parks and recreation upgrades, work on clearing land titles and land trusts. The group is asking for $1 million from the city this year and the next 5 years.
Change takes time. Mm-hmm. Going up a hill, well, we're walking up Citadel Hill. That's our hill. Yeah, to get to where we need to get to. So the ask that we're asking for is to ensure that this work continues at the appropriate level within our communities.
The city asked for a staff report on that request to inform the upcoming budget. That will be finalized next spring.
Lots of lights lighting up the sky. Ryan's up next with his full weather forecast. Do stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about weather because nobody minded the sun today. I dare say there's a few people wearing their sunglasses.
2 days in a row.
Yeah, a few people wearing sunglasses, and I want to bet that there are more than a few people this morning who ran out to their car and couldn't find the scraper and took the credit card and scraping away. No, actually, I wasn't.
You're very well prepared. I know that. Yeah.
There's either that or there's the the windshield washer fluid, like dump a whole bottle on the windshield. It'll clear.
We're getting used to it. We're
Park
that
it
phase.
in the sun if you can, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Tomorrow morning, very similar. So don't get caught off guard. You will need the scraper or the credit card or half a bottle of windshield washer fluid. Tomorrow morning, have a look at our overnight lows or our morning lows, in fact, and you can see, -8 Antigonish, -2 to -3 in through the metro area, and temperatures pretty much across the board. We're below the freezing mark. Lunenburg right at the freezing mark, that Caribou Point station as well. So right along the coast, it was closer to 0. This is where we ended up into the afternoon. So pretty much seasonal for this time of year, 5, 6, and 7 degrees. And you can see that temperatures have dropped off. We're already at -1. Amherst, and at Parsboro, and at Kentville, and at the Shelburne Station, and Port Hawkesbury, and Sheet Harbour, and Antigonish. So quite a few stations have dropped below the freezing mark already. Telltale sign that it is going to be another chilly night tonight, for sure. The winds, yes, light today, nothing to report, which was such a nice treat after what has been a blustery week. And as we back things out, there's the low that is going to be just clipping the eastern parts of the province with some clouds and a couple of showers, but this is looking like it's going to have less and less of an impact on us thanks to this area of high pressure, which is going to keep it offshore. And yeah, this system here, which is going to sweep in, at one point it was looking like it may draw in quite a bit of this moisture from the south, and it will draw some of that moisture, but a lot of that is also going to miss us to the south and east, as you will see here coming up in just a moment. There's the jet stream, which is kind of riding in through most of the prairies right now. Temperatures, I guess, near seasonal for those folks as well. Just 3 in Toronto, -2 in Quebec City, and that warmest of air now confined to the U.S. southeast. So for tonight, as we said, temperatures very similar to where they were this morning, is where we'll start for for Friday morning. And you can see -3 to -7 in most cases, a little bit milder right along parts of the coast. And yes, hardly a cloud in the sky to start the day tomorrow, and then that cloud will build in as we move into the in fact, late morning for eastern parts of the mainland. A couple of showers arriving right around midday for Cape Breton, Guysborough County, and Antigonish County, pushing up towards Pictou County in some of the model projections, but looks like it is probably going to be staying to the east of you folks. And the clouds will build in a little bit here in the west, especially into the later afternoon, but overall a solid sun cloud mix for you folks into the afternoon for the west. So temperatures here in the 5, 6, 7 degree range. Notably, the winds coming in from the northeast across Cape Breton, Guysborough, and Antigonish counties, where we're talking about those winds sustain near 20, gusting 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. We'll see that chance for showers edging into New Glasgow and Sheet Harbour, possibly. I don't think they're going to make it as far as Tatamagouche. So we'll put you folks here in this this basket of sun and cloud with temperatures in the 5, 6, and 7 degree range. And back into the west, we're looking at temperatures ranging between 6 and 7 degrees. And again, the clouds a little bit building up into the afternoon, but overall pretty quiet. 8 and 9 degrees on Saturday, and that is, again, thanks to the system drawing in some warmer air from the south. Few showers isolated in nature, but the bulk of that wet weather tracking to our south with this system. And so the eastern shore and Cape Breton getting clipped by some potentially steadier wet weather and bands of rain Saturday evening into the overnight, but that's looking less likely. And then we're clearing out for Sunday, and we're back into the sun and cloud. Notably on Sunday, a bit of a breeze from the northwest. That's going to keep temperatures in the 2 to 4 range. Some showers and flurries on Monday under a mainly cloudy sky. We'll clear again for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Some wet weather, but again, nothing major, no major storms at least over the next 5 to 7 days. Tom and Amy.
Quiet
Quite all
is
right
good.
with that.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, Christmas is just around the corner, but with the trade war with the United States, it's weighing on consumers' consciences this holiday season.
And with the rising cost of living, price might be the ultimate priority. The CBC's Alison McCormick spoke to some shoppers about how they're navigating holiday shopping this year.
Shoppers are heading into their first holiday season since the trade war broke out with the United States. And this year, the added push to buy Canadian goods is weighing heavily on the consumer conscience. A recent survey by the Retail Council of Canada found shoppers plan to support Canadian companies more this year, but there's another big factor at play: cost.
We have about 86% of respondents in the survey that we did in August saying that they plan to shop close to home and that buying Canadian is really important. That said, price still matters more than anything. And then when you break it down even further into an Atlantic Canadian carve-out, price is always going to be the number one factor for Atlantic Canadians.
The survey polled 2,500 Canadians with regional representation. It remains to be seen how shoppers ultimately spend their money this holiday. But for right now, buying Canadian is at least on the consumer's mind.
I think we're all conscious of where we're doing our purchasing. But once again, when it initially happened, I think we were really focused on where we needed to buy our products. And I'm so used to buying the same products now that most of them are Canadian made.
Cost in today's economy, I think, would be the most driving force. Cost, and then where it's made. From looking around at the stores, everything that is Canadian seems to be very well highlighted.
We're purchasing local. There are some items that we can't get here, so that's just the way it goes. I think it's an important issue for the country, so I think it's on most people's minds.
Oh yeah, we've been doing local for quite a while, since you know when.
And stores like Crescent Gold and Diamonds have been making their origins known since you know when.
We proudly put the flags up to show that we are not just Canadian owned, but maritime owned.
The jewelry store promotes its Canadian roots with flags on its display cases. Store manager Matt Clark says it sets them apart.
We have Canadian right here on display here. These are Canadian diamonds right here. We have the jewelry and the rings on the side. And we have a lot of our stuff is actually made with Canadian gold as well. So a lot of stuff in the store is Canadian based. Obviously there are some stuff we do have to source from abroad as well, but a lot of it doesn't come from the United States.
But with the increasing cost of living, buying Canadian is a luxury not everyone can afford.
I think there does come a lot of privilege with being able to make those choices between, buying the products that are sustainably sourced, ethical, local, all of that. Like being able to make those decisions does come with a lot of privilege.
Cormier says all of these factors have created a much more strategic shopper this year.
A lot of our respondents to the survey said that they plan on doing a lot of research, waiting for sales, and then saying that, frankly, price is going to be paramount.
Cormier says Atlantic Canadians are also planning to spend about 1% less this holiday season. That works out to just over $900 per person.
Coming up, we'll get a tour of a food bank operating in Dartmouth that's specifically for veterans.
Demand is high for a new food bank here in Dartmouth, specifically for veterans. And for more on this, I'm joined by Debbie Lowther with Vets Canada. So how did this whole idea come about in the first place?
So we realized that year over year between 2022 and 2023 that what we were spending on grocery cards across the country had more than doubled. So obviously food insecurity was a big issue. So we decided that we would open this pantry to welcome veterans to a warm, welcoming environment that they could provide food for themselves.
How does this differ from a typical food bank besides just being tailored for veterans?
So we have it set up as a grocery store model. So we work on a credit system. So each veteran is provided with a certain number of credits per month based on their household size. And then they can come in. We have little shopping carts here, and then they just get to walk through and choose what they want. So everything is labeled with the number of credits. So a small can of soup would be 1 credit, a large can of soup would be 2 credits. And yeah, they just get to choose what they want because, we feel that's a little bit more dignifying than just handing them a box of food. So yeah, we do it that way instead.
And it's appointment based.
Exactly. So that's the other thing is that we do it by appointments so that veterans can come in and have some privacy and they don't have to worry about running into somebody that they know, because we know the veterans community is a small one. So, we want them to feel, comfortable that they're not going to see somebody that they know.
Well, what are some of the stories you're hearing about why they have to come to the food bank, the need, why is it there?
Right. So, a lot of people don't realize that, when you serve in the military, if you don't serve 10 years, then you don't get a pension. So, there's lots of people who serve less than 10 years, and there are those that serve in more combat arms trades, so their skills aren't necessarily as transferable, so they struggle with getting employment when they get out. Family breakdown, marital breakdown, there's so many different reasons that lead people to need our services.
And I understand the way that they're paid is somehow complicating things as well.
Yeah, so to get benefits from Veterans Affairs, it's very complex. Their benefits are complicated, and lots of veterans just give up. They get so frustrated that they decide not to continue. We always encourage them to don't leave money on the table. But yeah, some of them just really don't want to deal with the hassle of getting those benefits.
And do you think some people would be surprised that veterans have to turn to a food bank?
I think so. I hope so. Because, in my opinion, it's unacceptable. I wish that we weren't here and we didn't need to be here. But, I think that those who wore the uniform deserve our support and respect. I think any Canadian that's in a position to help should help. That's just my opinion.
Well, you had a soft launch in March. What has it been like since then?
So just by word of mouth, it's been rather busy. So right now we have almost 60 veterans that are accessing the pantry every month. So they come monthly. And then including families, we're at about 120 people being served. And since we launched in March, we have distributed over 6,000 pounds of food. So it's been busy.
Now, how are you stocking the shelves? Is it donations? Do you have some funding? How does that work?
So we don't have funding specifically for the pantry, but when we first started, we bought a load of groceries ourselves, and we've been really lucky that people have been donating, and so we'll top up ourselves certain things that we might get low on, but for the most part we've been lucky to have some really great donors.
Well, what do you need the most? What aren't you getting?
I think a lot of people assume that we only take non-perishables, but that's not the case. So we do take things like, meat and deli meats and, frozen dinners. A lot of the guys like those little Michelina dinners and Pop-Tarts. They love Pop-Tarts. So easy things to make, but yeah, not necessarily just canned goods. So, yeah.
Do you have plans to expand this?
Well, actually, we are working with CFB Greenwood right now. They are launching their own food pantry off base for their serving members, and so we've agreed to kind of help them get set up and help them remain stocked through some of our donors as well. So who knows what the future holds, but that is one way that we're expanding right now.
And how appreciative are the people who come here? What do they say?
Oh, just, some of the testimonials that we have are just amazing. And, one veteran said, I came in nervous and I left with a bag full of food and a smile on my face. And then, one that stands out to me is a veteran, left a testimonial, but at the end of it he said, I didn't feel like I was a burden, which says to me that, he was somewhere else and he did feel that way, and that's not how we want people to feel.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, open for business. Prime Minister Carney is in the United Arab Emirates trying to make new trade deals.
And possible peace deal. American and Russian officials have reportedly created a framework for a plan to end the war in Ukraine. But it comes as Russia continues its attacks on Ukrainian cities. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in the United Arab Emirates to make deals and signal Canada is open for business.
Carney met with the president of the UAE today as the two countries signed an investment agreement. But as Ashley Burke reports, deepening ties with the Gulf country comes with political risk.
This is the only part of the Prime Minister's day the UAE allowed Canadian media to film. Mark Carney touring the biggest mosque in the country. It cost hundreds of millions of dollars to build and is a symbol of the UAE's wealth. And what attracted Mark Carney here.
It's truly humbling, inspiring for me to see, and a testament to Sheikh Zayed, testament to the Emirati people.
Behind closed doors, the Prime Minister met with the UAE's president, signing a new investment deal and launching talks toward a free trade agreement with the UAE.
What it says to Canadians is that there's a bigger world out there than just the United States. And if we are going to diversify our trade, if we're going to prosper, we have to go out there and actually drum up some business.
Carney wants the UAE to invest in Canadian projects like ports, mines, and liquefied natural gas. And for Canadian companies to expand their construction, aerospace, and agriculture to the UAE.
When you know how to navigate the UAE and have ties in the UAE, it allows you to have those external relationships also with other Arab countries.
But human rights groups want Carney to speak up about allegations the UAE is funding a paramilitary force accused of atrocities in Sudan, claims it denies.
Prime Minister Carney can send the simple message that we refuse to build our economy on the backs of emaciated corpses and mass graves. That cannot be the cost of doing business.
The Prime Minister's office says Carney and the President discussed a range of security issues in the Middle East and Africa, but wouldn't say if that includes Sudan. They also said that Carney doesn't have time to answer journalists' questions before taking off for South Africa on Friday for the G20. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Abu Dhabi.
A new report looking at healthcare around the world shows there are links between privatization and higher mortality rates. This comes as several Canadian provinces are embracing private, for-profit healthcare services. Christine Birak has more.
As governments in Alberta, Quebec, and Ontario make plans to privatize more healthcare services, a new report featuring a comparison between countries shows a lot depends on who pays for healthcare and who delivers it. Out of 25 OECD countries, the ones with greater for-profit privatization have worse outcomes, including lower life expectancy and higher avoidable deaths.
Different governments are pursuing options for privatization to help balance to the books at huge cost.
While most of this country's healthcare is still publicly delivered, it may be surprising to see Canada's already above average when it comes to private financing, with payments coming from out-of-pocket spending and private insurance. Still, some doctors say privatization can speed up access.
What's most important for the Canadian public is getting access to care. Our wait times are absolutely punishing for the patient population.
Others say private clinics simply take doctors and staff out of hospitals.
It doesn't really shorten the wait list, it just rearranges it so that those who have more money can get seen faster rather than those with the biggest medical need.
While the new report didn't look at scans and testing, Alberta's Auditor General recently found after the province moved to privatize diagnostic services, an unusually high number of errors were reported, including missed or incorrect diagnoses of serious conditions, going from 25 before privatization in a year to 145 after.
I started out not having cancer. I didn't have to go through any of this.
Lita Bablitz was told she had breast cancer. After her breast was removed, she was told it was a mistake and the government couldn't hold the company accountable.
It can't happen because that could be damaging to a private interest. The damage to me receiving a mastectomy I didn't need was listed as not that harmful.
Alberta said privatization would save millions. Instead, the cancelled contract cost taxpayers tens of millions. Bablitz worries more private care will leave others in the same boat or worse. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
And the Alberta government plans to allow doctors to work privately and publicly in an effort to reduce wait times for some surgeries. Sam Sampson shows us the Premier's message and some questions it raises.
This greatly benefits everyone on surgical wait lists.
In a 7-minute video, Alberta's premier promises a solution to surgery wait times in the province.
As healthcare shouldn't be about blind and outdated ideologies or politics.
Danielle Smith says surgeons should be able to do both public and private work.
That doctor could also perform an additional 200 or 300 more surgeries for patients who can afford to pay for the cost themselves.
I think people are actually overworked right now, and burnout feels like it's at an all-time high. So I don't know how much capacity there is to add on extra work.
There's surgery day.
Paul Ryan was one of 80,000 Albertans on the list for an elective surgery. The 46-year-old waited 2.5 years for his hip replacement, and he says he would have paid to get it sooner.
It was that bad. My quality of life, I suffered every day. I was waking up angry, depressed. It was taking a real toll on my life. So I definitely would, at that point there, my wife and I both said we would have done anything. You can always make more money, but you can't get your health back, right?
Right now, Alberta contracts private surgical clinics to provide things like outpatient knee and hip replacements. The province promises no public money will fund private surgeries, but health policy experts say this could change the healthcare system dramatically.
This has never been done before.
Fouffard worries the new system would actually drain public resources since there could be more money in private surgeries. He's also concerned about a possible two-tiered system.
Are we comfortable as a country with the fact that we have two parallel streams and that some people with additional means can gain access in a way that the rest of us cannot?
Physicians say they need more details. Those will come when the bill is expected to be introduced later this month. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Edmonton.
American government officials are now in Ukraine to discuss efforts to end the war with Russia. There have been reports that American and Russian officials have established a framework for peace that would require major concessions from Ukraine. This comes amid continuing bloodshed. Russian attacks on 2 apartment blocks in a city in western Ukraine killed more than 24 people and wounded dozens more early Wednesday. Briar Stewart has more.
Crews still work to recover the dead after a Russian missile slammed into this apartment building in western Ukraine Wednesday. Among the growing number of victims, those born into the war. I came to pray for the children that went to sleep peacefully and didn't have a chance to wake up, said this woman. Against the backdrop of so much grief, there's frustration over reports Moscow and the U.S. drew up a 28-point peace proposal. It reportedly calls for Ukraine to give up the Donbas region in the east, where Russia continues to try and claw away more land. And for Ukraine to cut the size of its military by 40%, suggestions Kyiv has rejected many times before. In a video released by the Kremlin, President Vladimir Putin inspected Russian troops, later saying Ukrainian soldiers should be given the opportunity to surrender.
We are thankful to President Trump. Best regards to him.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky met with the U.S. Secretary of the Army and says he'll be speaking with Donald Trump soon. Washington insists Ukraine has been included all along.
They've been engaging with both sides, Russia and Ukraine, equally to understand what these countries would commit to.
Many Ukrainians say what appears to be on the table now is a non-starter.
It's like, what the hell is this?
Hannah Sheila spoke to CBC News with the help of a generator after multi-hour blackouts because of Russia's relentless attacks on the country's energy grid.
Do you fear at all that Washington is maybe moving to put more pressure on Ukraine?
Yes. I mean, the question is that it is not them to decide the future of Ukraine. It is the people of Ukraine to decide this future.
And she said the government wouldn't be able to sell a proposal that amounts to surrender, not after nearly 4 years of Russia's all-out war and so much loss. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
British lawmakers have announced a plan to ban the resale of tickets for music concerts, shows, and sporting events at inflated prices. The goal is to end a practice of purchasing tickets in large volumes and then selling them for much more than face value. Nisha Patel tells us why the move is getting mixed reviews.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
From blockbuster music concerts to historic sporting events, soaring ticket prices are frustrating fans.
This feels like it should be illegal because $5,000 for nosebleeds? Are you kidding me?
But in the UK, it could soon be illegal. The British government is cracking down on ticket resellers. Proposed new laws would ban the resale of a ticket for any price above its face value.
Hopefully, this will prevent those touts from being able to do that and ensure that there's a fair playing field for fans who want tickets.
Ticket platform StubHub criticized the move, claiming it would just fuel black markets.
The reality is that laws like this have no teeth whatsoever. The government uses it for theater.
Canadian music industry expert Eric Alper agrees rules like these are tough to enforce. When demand is high and supply is low, he suggests steep prices are unavoidable.
Maybe we all have to start realizing that not everybody is going to get to see the show that they want to go see.
But musicians hope the changes will get tickets to genuine fans first. Coldplay's manager calling it a game changer. Ed Sheeran's manager saying it was long overdue. Competition experts argue regulations should go even further.
With firms like Ticketmaster, who we know is the most dominant reseller and also kind of has vertical integration in that market, it's been really hard for artists to resist their pricing strategies.
In Canada, there have been growing calls for lawmakers to take action.
The UK tends to be ballsier from a competition standpoint. In Canada, I'm not sure if it's that we're polite sometimes or just have an aversion to any kind of market intervention.
Quebec does have a rule capping the price of ticket resales, but it does have some loopholes. Ontario has been considering legislation, but hasn't made any concrete changes just yet. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
The Louvre Museum is gearing up for a security upgrade 1 month after a high-profile jewel heist there. The Paris Museum's director says 100 external cameras and anti-intrusion systems will be installed by the end of 2026. They're also installing a mobile police post on the property. Investigators charged 4 suspects for involvement in last month's heist, but stolen jewels worth over 140 million Canadian dollars have yet to be recovered. Officials admitted there was inadequate security camera coverage at the time. Canada's main stock index fell more than 370 points today, weighed down by losses in the basic materials sector, while U.S. markets also fell. Here's a look at some of the numbers as we head to commercial break.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
All right, scraper. I've got to remember the scraper tomorrow morning. I was one of those people.
Yeah, you'd be digging through the trunk. If it's not there, where is it?
Yeah. It's going to be another frosty one, and you might as well keep the scraper or the brush in the vehicle moving forward.
So.
Tis the season.
That's time.
Let's have a look at our viewer picture of the day. Also the season that, a lot of folks getting set and ready to go. This from East Dover. And William Bell says they are primed and ready to go for the lobster fishery, of course, underway next week in some parts of the province anyway. I know it's a little bit different in some parts, but yes, William Bell, thank you so much for this, and best of luck and safety out on the water in the coming days. And we'll, of course, keep you posted on that forecast. So as we look at the overnight lows tonight, -3 to -7 for most. The increase in clouds tomorrow in the east with a chance for showers moving into Cape Breton and the eastern mainland. But we are looking at that to be pretty isolated for the eastern mainland. It does look like most of the shower activity moving through mid-afternoon for Cape Breton and into the evening. We are looking at temperatures anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7 degrees. The winds becoming northeast for Cape Breton and the eastern mainland, remaining light for central and western areas. Now for Saturday, winds from the south to southwest, and so that'll bump our temperatures up into the 8 to 9 range. We'll see a few showers along this front, spotty in nature for Saturday morning into the afternoon. A greater chance, but it looks like, again, the bulk of that wet weather will be missing us and heading out towards Newfoundland. And then we're looking at Sunday to be a nice day. We'll see temperatures a bit cool on Sunday, 2, 3, 4 degrees in those west to northwesterly winds that'll be a little bit breezy. Chance for showers and flurries on Monday, and then we're clearing back out for Tuesday with some showers midweek.
All right, we'll take it. Thanks so much, Ryan. Well, prospective buyers vied for a piece of history at the Hudson's Bay art auction last night. 27 paintings from the now defunct company's art collection were up for grabs. Winston Churchill's Marrakesh was the star of the auction. The oil painting by the former British Prime Minister sold for $1.3 million. That's more than double of the value originally estimated by the auction house.
Also notable, Lights of a City Street by Frederick Marlett Bell Smith. It depicts pedestrians on a rainy evening in Toronto at a busy downtown intersection. It sold for $575,000.
Everything put up for auction sold. That's considered a rare feat in the auction world.
Popular indeed.
Yeah.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.